Okay, this is a competition called Blackout. It was held in El Paso, Texas at Franklin High School on March 4th. I was asked to participate and help judge some of this competition. This is an excellent STEM program. It's a national program. I think it's even worldwide. This is the second competition in El Paso. The first one was the week before. I can't remember the name of the high school, but this was the first one held by Franklin. In this competition, they, as you see, have a drone competition part where two pilots, four pilots total, two from each, one pilot from each team, four teams. They join up, two red, two blue, and they're not on the same team, so they're kind of like in an alliance against these other two teams. They had 16 teams ranging from middle school to high school. In this portion of the competition, they have to get their drone to get their corresponding balls out of the corral. As you can see, they're all over the place, and get as many of them into 5 scoring positions as they can. There's also 2 white balls. The object is, if you have the most balls in the scoring position, you own the points for that position. If the white ball is in there too, you get a bonus. This is very hard to do because the rules are you can't come out of the major square that you see. If you do, the referee will start counting down. You'll hear him do that. And if you don't make it back in, it's over for you. You got to ground your drone. It's over. If you touch anybody on the outside, even if you can get back in, and these drones cannot really hurt you, but if you touch anybody, it's over for you. You got to put your drone down. At a certain point, since this is a timed event, at a certain point, I think when it gets down to 45 seconds, they go into what's called blackout. When it goes into blackout, you have to make a decision. Either you land in, like you see the little blue circle, there's a little red circle, there's 4 of those little circles. Those are easy points. The pilot can see that position. Or you go for the much double-digit points by flying through that blue circle that's in front of you and the yellow circle. You got to get through both of them, and that basically qualifies you to go into this back area. Now here's where the name comes from. The partition blocks sight from the pilot on the opposite side, and that's his home point. He has someone on his team, member of his alliance, on that side, and they guiding them in. You'll hear them. They'll start yelling up, down, left, right, and they're trying to get them to land on either the really small square, massive points, or the bigger square, really good points, just not as much as the small one. This is extremely hard to do because the person giving the signals, as you can see, they have to communicate in a way that the pilot can use that information because he cannot see. As you can see now, from this position, you can't see, the pilots cannot see that little itty bitty drone. So it's really up to the people doing the guiding. And you see, you got 2 of them, and she's guiding them through, trying to get them through the hoops, which he can see the hoops, but might as well start. Now she has to get the communication to him on how to hit the box, and he hit the bigger box. If he had hit the smaller one, he'd have got more points, but that's great points. You don't have a lot of time. This is the time, well, the whole exercise is time, but you got like 45 seconds to negotiate that. The drone is not super precise, it drifts, so you got to have good communication. Now this is just this part of the competition. The competition is also organizing, and they also have, oh, by the way, they have a autonomous component to this, which is basically the same thing you're seeing here, modified down, but you program the drone, and then you have to leave it alone. You got to tell it up, left, to, right, all of that, and then set the program loose. And you get whatever points you get, and if your programming is good, then and you get to practice your programming. You have a programming book and a programming language that you file, and everything stays the same. So that component gets points, this component gets points, and then you have the judging part. Now, I was asked to participate in that, and that's like having a corporate interview. I ask you, how did you set up your teams? How do you manage your time? Let me see your workbook. And they have a workbook that details who the pilots are, when they're scheduled to fly, and how the practices are going. Very organized, very logistics, management, time management skills, all of that. And then as one of the judges, you walk around and you observe these teams in action. Do they stay to themselves? Are they all in it for themselves? Are they individuals, or do they care about each other? And they actually get graded on that. As I'm walking around, I'm looking at the different teams and what we call in the military their esprit de corps, their pride. You know, are they professional enough because they want to win, but will they let you fail standing right next to them? Or will they do what they can do to help you and drag you along in their success? And this is what blows my mind. These kids were all into that. They were trading parts for each other to stay in the competition, giving each other hints in the competition. This group you see that was off to the right, you see the one guy in the back, kid in the back. They are so into this that they didn't have uniforms, because they don't need uniforms for this. They wanted to stand out, and they decided that that's what they were going to do. It was their decision. They have coaches. The teachers they have coaches. 16 teams, and that's about 8 schools, middle and high, because most of these schools have 2 teams each. Not all of them. Like I said, it is national. I think it is worldwide. But if you go to the website, I'm going to leave the contact in the description, and you pull up your state. This is Texas Region 1. You can find out the contact information for El Paso. If you live in El Paso, you absolutely should do this. You should absolutely find out whether your school has it. If your school doesn't, try to talk to the principal about getting it in your school. It ain't free, but it is worth it. We're having kids learning programming. We're having kids learning management skills, time management, problem solving, and of course, not to mention drone skills, which we all know do play in to the sciences. So engineering, management, logistics, all of that, and these kids were all in. You can see they're very managed, very, how you say, they're excited, but they're not out of control. They absolutely all want to be here and make it to the next level of competition. Now, I live in the Northeast. None of the schools in the Northeast seem to be there. If you live in El Paso and you live in the Northeast, I beg you to get your school involved in this. Let's show the rest of El Paso that the Northeast has the best pilots. Absolutely. On the judging committee, you had me, drone pilot. We had an Army lieutenant helicopter pilot. We had a professional Part 107 drone pilot, and we had a concerned citizen. I know he does something. I'm very sorry. I did not get his job. But you don't have to be a pilot to do the judging. You don't have to be a pilot to assist in organizing, setting up. It takes a lot of adult power to get this going, because it starts at 8 in the morning. And I was not there first. I was there at 8, and they had already done the setup. And I had to leave before they did shut down. They need people, they need bodies. This is for the kids, and these kids loved it. I mean, look at them. They got these balls out of that corral. Look at the blue. He got them out. He got them all out there, but now he has to get them either in the square that's on the left or the square that's way up there on the right. And I couldn't do this because that's not what drones are made to do. And these kids they got a method, they have a plan. And if you only have one of your balls in that square, if there's nobody else's balls, you own the square. But look at all those balls, and they're going everywhere. And see, he's got one right down here in the middle of our screen. Now blue owns that square. Red is nowhere near. Now they did have, they had a strategy on one of the other matches. They were like, I can't even tell you how many matches were run, where they had a guy on the opposite team blowing people's balls out, which is an excellent strategy. But this is time. If you're going to do that, then you got to have your other pilot in your alliance. He better be making the points. If you're going to steal points, he better be out there making the points. Now, mind you, the other pilot he's in your alliance, but he's not on your team. So basically, y'all got to work together, but be aware you got to get something for yourself, because after you do this competition, you go to the next round. As you know, the final, you get to the finals. This is an excellent competition. I had a ball. The kids were all in, and this was the first competition, because you can see some of their hand and arm signals aren't the best, but this was their first time doing it. As far as at Franklin, they might have went to the competition that was the week before. I don't know, but it can only get better. It can't get worse. The ref takes care of the scoring for this segment. Like I said, if you're in El Paso, go for it. If you're not in El Paso, find your state in that website. Get with your school. If they don't have it, get it. You guys have a good weekend.